In this video, we'll go through some examples of multiplying decimal numbers together. For example, let's look at this first problem. The first part of this problem asks to compute 3.8 times 4. Now we're going to just line this problem up as if we're doing a multiplication problem where there's no decimal there. And actually, when we do the multiplication, we're just going to ignore the decimal. So we're just going to pretend that this is 38 times 4. So we can do this multiplication out as normal. So we take 4 times 8, which is 32. So we put a 2 here. We carry the 3. We do 4 times 3 is 12. And then we add the 3 from before. We get 15. And now we get an answer. Well, almost. We have to figure out where the decimal goes. So what we do is we look at the numbers that we were multiplying together, and we find the decimal. So there's only one right here. And then we circle each number to the right of the decimal. So here there's only 1. So that means in our final product, there should also be only one number to the right of our decimal. And our decimal goes right here. So that means the answer to 3.8 times 4 is 15.2. Let's do one more example together. The next problem says 0.43 times 0.71. This time they both have decimals in them, but we're just going to ignore those for right now while we do our multiplication. So to start, we have 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 4 is 4, and then 1 times 0 is 0. Then when we move on to the next row, we put a 0 here, and we take 7 times 3, which is 21. We carry our 2. We do 7 times 4, which gives us 28. And then we add our 2 back in, and we get 30. And then the rest of these things here will be multiplying by 0, so those will just be 0. So now we add these two together to get our final product, which is 3053. But now what happens with our decimal? Well, let's find our two decimal points. And now we have 2 numbers to the right of the decimal here, and 2 numbers to the right of the decimal here. So in our final answer, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers to the right of the decimal. So our answer here is 0.3053. Now, you can take some time to try to figure out the rest of the 5 problems. I'll do one more if you still want a little help and guidance, but I encourage you to stop watching the video now and try to do the last 5 on your own. So let's look at the next problem, which is 7.3 times 8.5. So again, we'll just line it up and not think about the decimal for right now. We'll do 5 times 3 is 15. We'll carry a 1. 5 times 7 is 35. And then we add 1 in. That gives us 36. We move on to the next line. We put a 0 down. 8 times 3 is 24. So we get a 4, and now we're carrying a 2. 8 times 7 is 56. Plus another 2 is 58. Now we add these two numbers together. We get 5. We get a 0. Carry a 1. That's a 2. And then a 6. And then we have to determine where we're going to put our decimal point. So we have 1 number to the right of the decimal here, and 1 number to the right of the decimal here. So we should have 2 numbers to the right of the decimal in our answer, which tells us that the final product is 62.05.